everyone, and welcome to Seriously Loco, the Seriously Crazy fan podcast for El Paso Locomotive FC, a proud member of the Beautiful Game Network, and brought to you by Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC. I'm Phil Bakke, and I'm joined tonight for an emergency session of the pod. We've called the committee. I'm joined by Christian Canales. Christian, how you doing?
Okay, man. I'm a little bit frazzled, but we all are at this moment, I think. So
you sound frazzled.
Yeah, and it's not just the scotch either. So.
Yeah, I think we're all drinking tonight. So cheers. We're also joined by Mikka Burrell. Mikka, little bit of as Christian said, we're all a little bit shook.
Yeah, a little bit shook. I too have a libation. I've got my glass of Nero d'Avola on deck. So, a glass of red to help me deal with the things I can't change. But Christian, scotch, that's intense, dude. I can't even put my lips near a scotch glass. I want to die.
It's like hella occasional. I've had this bottle since 2016.
Oh, wow.
It's on its last legs now. So it's very, very rare.
You just drink it neat?
Yeah, but
Wow.
only that's kind of only like this much at a time.
Wow.
and I'll only have one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Bakke, what do you got on deck?
I've got a nice local brew. So we've got beer, wine, and liquor. So we've got a nice. If we were one person, we'd be in for a rough night. Luckily,
truly.
Luckily not. But well, guys, we were struck, and the reason we had to get together and record is well known by this point. But Portland Timbers and El Paso Locomotive announced today the loan of Logan Ketterer. Obviously, mainstay for El Paso Locomotive FC. He's been the number one since he joined the club. And he's made 55 appearances, kept 22 clean sheets in that time, 2 Western Conference finals under his belt. So, synonymous with Locomotive up to this point, and joining Portland Timbers on loan. Before I dive into the different aspects of this, I want to get you guys are scrolling the timeline, casually at work. Probably. I know I was just kind of catching up on some things after
Twitter
I got out of a meeting.
Work? On Twitter at work? Never.
And I saw the tweet. I want to get a feel for your guys' initial reactions, just to not the details, not fleshing out what this actually means, but just what was your raw reaction when you saw this news cross?
Oh man. So actually I didn't see the official announcement first. I saw a mutual friend of ours saying man, Logan, really, this hurts, but good luck. And I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? So then I went over to the official feed, and there you had it. There was the announcement that Logan Ketterer would be joining Portland Timbers on loan. And the rest of my afternoon productivity completely left me the way he left on loan. So my productivity went on loan somewhere else. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll find out whether that was a short-term loan for your productivity and whether it makes its way back in time for.
Truly.
Christian, what about you? How'd you take this?
Well, it was quite shocking. In my profession, I am surrounded by 7 and 8-year-olds, so couldn't express myself the way I wanted to. So I had to internalize a lot of it, and I think probably damaged my productivity significantly. Probably more so maybe than Mikka, just because since I had no outlet for anything, I couldn't. I had no way to process it. So I was quite shocked for a while.
Yeah, I saw the tweet from Portland. I think someone had retweeted it onto my timeline, and it was about 15 minutes old when I saw it. And at that moment, there was this feeling of extreme numbness that crossed initially, where I thought, well, holy shit, like, that's it, basically. Like, it's over. Because let's face it, like, Logan is a huge part of why we've been so successful over the first 2 seasons. And, you know, he's not been without his mistakes and things like that. Every player makes them, but he's been so consistently good that oftentimes we don't even discuss Logan's performance on the podcast because we're just like, and Logan was really good also, you know, like it's just kind of a matter of fact. So anyways, like there was a moment where I thought, wow, like I can't believe that this is happening. And the timing of it all was just very strange. But I thought, okay, there's got to be something else going on here. So I clicked the link, which I don't always do before I react harshly on Twitter. Let's be real. We all, Twitter's like, are you sure? Do you want to read the article first? You know? And so when I read Timber's article, it only made it worse because it said Ketterer has joined the Timbers on loan for the 2021 season. So all of my fears were then confirmed in my mind, and I didn't necessarily take in all of the information that I should have. And we'll dive into the specifics here, but yeah, that initial reaction it was significantly damaging to Phil's work morale. At least I guess me being in Eastern time, I had a little less of the day to go before the end.
Yes, that's true. I think you had a bit of an advantage getting to 5 o'clock faster than we did. But I mean, I'm with you on the whole, like, wow, this is over kind of thing without knowing, you know, what we know now about the deal. But yeah, I mean, we can't understate Logan Ketterer's importance to this squad. We've spoken so much, you know, recently about how we think this is the deepest squad Locomotive's ever had. And he's part of that, you know? So yeah, but I guess, what do we know about the deal now, Phil?
Yeah. Well, so what we didn't know, what no one was paying attention to in Locos Nation was Timbers goalkeeper Jeff Attinella, who was basically their last fit senior goalkeeper, ruptured his right femoris tendon in their last game. He's out for the season. They already had, he was injured when they played Seattle on May 9th, and they already had 2 other keepers, Steve Clark and Aljaz Ivacic, out injured on shorter term injuries, but still, you know, they weren't exactly sure, maybe a couple more weeks or something like that. So we had no idea that would then impact Locomotive so directly. But Timbers wasted no time putting out the announcement, as they put out in their statement. Timbers signed goalkeeper Logan Ketterer on loan from El Paso Locomotive FC. And the main thing here, as I said, was Ketterer has joined the Timbers on loan for the 2021 season under extreme hardship. And so this is where, like, we'll dive more into the extreme hardship clause, but they then go on to just describe, you know, who Logan is. But they announced this signing that they are signing him under extreme hardship. And Locomotive put out a statement of their own, or a press release of their own. El Paso Locomotive completes loan of goalkeeper Logan Ketterer to MLS side Portland Timbers FC. Oh my God. In it, in the press release that Locomotive put out, Mark Lowry said, "This is a great opportunity for Logan. It's something we felt we had to provide for him, particularly as we don't play this weekend. It's a short-term situation, one that can help Logan grow as a keeper so he can get back with us and continue to anchor one of the best backlines in the USL." So in two press releases, we had seemingly contradictory information, with one saying he was going to Portland for the rest of the season and one saying that it was a short-term situation, straight from the mouth of Mark Lowry. So in order to understand that dichotomy, what is extreme hardship? And I think, Christian, you were the first of us to dive into the MLS rules around extreme hardship. Do you mind enlightening those who don't follow those crazy in and outs of MLS roster rules?
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, I'm definitely no MLS expert, especially with all, the weird shit, all those weird rules they have that govern the leagues. I don't even think our resident counselor could navigate all those ins and outs perfectly. But basically, from MLS itself, what they say is clubs may add players to their roster in cases of extreme hardship, which exists when a club has fewer than 16 outfield players available, which isn't relevant here, but it also applies when a team has fewer than 2 goalkeepers available, which I think they're down to. Before Logan, they were down to just the one, I think. A 19-year-old whose name...
Hunter Sweet, is that?
I think so.
The Sweet Life?
No. But yeah, so he was their only keeper on the roster. And he's the one that, that came in for them on Saturday when their previous keeper got injured. A club can sign players on loan to short-term agreements for up to 4-day contracts for MLS league games only. But I don't think that that's particularly relevant here because they're already out of Champions League, out of CONCACAF Champions League. So it sounds like right now Logan is basically just under contract until Saturday probably, or just Sunday, I guess. But they could also renew that, I guess, if they wanted to, or if Locomotive wanted to. So what I'm interested in is the ball in El Paso's court, at that point. So that's if that's the case, then I feel much more comfortable about the situation.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting that, so as we flesh that out, it seems like, based on what's been reported and what Locomotive have said, it does seem like this is a short-term situation where I think at one point Mark described it as week to week, and with that 4-day stipulation, they're essentially having to re-sign or extend it every 4 days that they need Logan as an emergency backup. Is that how you're kind of interpreting this, Mikka?
Yeah, I mean, without knowing more of the mechanics of how they actually do these deals, just from the plain reading of the rule, that's what it sounds like, is they have to re-up every time they want to, go longer than 4 days. And I mean, it kind of sounded that way from what Mark was talking about in his press conference too, and that a lot of people had to work really hard to get this done because it was just on Tuesday that this opportunity came about. I mean, we even joked in our private chat that Logan had just been on the coach's show on Monday. So it really was a really quick turnaround time. And yeah, I think that is probably how that works, which gives me a little bit more reassurance, I guess, because again, I think we've all, to be fair, the club have put the expectation out there that they want to win trophies. And I think we have that expectation of them as well now, having gotten so close twice now. So again, I can't understate how important Logan is. And on the other hand, though, I really hope that he does well up there, because we've spoken about it a lot, that he's certainly quality, MLS quality, maybe even beyond that. And it's only, it was only a matter of time before someone took notice of that. And I'm sure a lot of people have Logan, in their scouting reports. But we'll see. I mean, it sounds like he might actually play this weekend on that 4-day deal, I guess. So gives me a reason to watch MLS, I suppose.
This was a little bit of a, it was strange in how it came about, but Mark did come out, and I think the club was eager to allay some fears because there were a lot of mixed messages around what was going on. So, Mikka and Christian, did you get a chance to listen to Mark's comments in that press conference? Which shout out to Austin Young for attending. His schedule lined up with the press conference, not with the recording, so he did the legwork in getting us the audio for that. But did you guys get a chance to listen? And was there anything that really stood out to you about Mark's comments?
Yeah, I did get a chance to listen, and yeah, shout out Austin for attending on behalf of Seriously Loco. I mean, I guess the thing that stood out the most was that Mark was adamant about this being short term. I didn't count exactly how many times he said it, but he said it quite a bit. And what struck me the most was when he said, we wouldn't have entertained this deal if it wasn't a short term thing. So. He also stated that the priority too for him as manager and for the club is to take care of the club's needs, obviously. And of course they always balance that with the needs of people. I mean, we know that about Mark already, that he'll never stand in a player's way. And in fact, he always wants to help a player to get to that next level. So just striking that balance, I think he's done well with it thus far. But I think this was by far the most jarring move given the timing and, the fact that it is MLS. So, I think that was kind of what I took from the press conference the most was the reiterating the short-term nature of the loan. And he did say specifically that he was trying to allay the fears of some fans who thought maybe this was a permanent thing and any hope of challenging for Civil War this year was leaving with Logan. So it did make me feel a little bit better. I'm not gonna lie.
Did you share a similar sentiment then, Christian, for hearing Mark's comments?
Yeah, absolutely. And, for as much as we talk about the club and kind of their opacity, I guess, for lack of a better term, I think that the one thing that has always been clear is that this is a club that is interested in winning. And so we have no reason not to believe that. And, that doesn't happen without Logan. So it doesn't take a whole lot for me other than just a small confirmation that is still the goal, to take their word for it at this point.
Yeah, I think that's what's refreshing for the most part, because there was a period of time when this news first broke that I started to get that feeling of, and I mean, Mikka, we've talked about this, but just that feeling of subordination, almost that feeling of, oh my God, he's going on loan to an MLS side and we're going to treat this as a victory. And right. So the initial announcement and the excitement from or the perceived excitement in Locomotive's tweet about it, which we obviously know the people behind the scenes and we know they're all, really great people who are just doing doing their best to do their jobs really well. So I'm not trying to crap on anybody specifically, but when the tweet said Logan Ketterer joins Portland Timbers on loan ! I was just this is so gross. You know what I mean? It just, if it was a long-term deal, it just felt it felt like there was that level of subordination where we're just, simping for MLS. Thank you for taking our player and deigning to acknowledge our existence.
Right.
So I'm glad that they've, that Mark has grabbed that narrative and squashed it, because certainly that's not what's going on here. A player of ours is getting a shot at a higher level of competition for a short time. And it could well turn into, a little bit of a dress rehearsal for a move over the summer, which I don't think any Locomotive fan would begrudge Logan a move, in the offseason, because we know how good he is and we know that he deserves a shot at the very top levels. I think the only thing that would have, scared Locomotive fans right now is simply the timing, and the perceived, potential threat to what should be a very promising season for Locomotive.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was another thing that Mark discussed in his press conference in no uncertain terms, that this is to put Logan in the shop window, to use Mark's words. So, going back to your point kind of about like this feeling of subordination, I think there's definitely legitimacy to that. We've spoken in private about how sometimes things go on at our level of play that feel like, oh man, like they're just here to remind us that this is a closed system all the way up and down in the United States, and we're kind of at the mercy of MLS at times, and that sucks. As a fan, that kind of feels crappy. But also, on the other hand, you want to be happy for your players that are getting recognized at that level. So there's this like inner conflict. It's like, it's amazing that Logan's getting looked at by these big clubs with, resources and facilities to really take his game to the next level. But yeah, that feeling can be ugly, shall we say. Hashtag pro whelp for USA. Anyway.
Wow, I didn't know this was going to get political.
Said what I said.
Yeah. I mean, it is, I don't know. That is the way that you would hope, and yeah, the system is gross, for the way that it is set up, and the way that the only way for a player to get a shot at that level is to join a team that belongs to those leagues. So, there's a little bit of a strange, it's like a perverse incentive where you almost want the players that you like to leave you, which is just like, there's a lot of psychology to unpack there for the lower league American soccer fan.
Right. And on that other side, they can be like, well, you're not happy that your player's moving on to bigger and better things. And it's like, I am, but like,
yeah,
we're all a little bit, or a lot of it, privy to the tribalism at times too. We like what's ours. We don't want to share. But I mean, Logan's a great keeper, and it's a great opportunity for him. I just hope that it is indeed short term, as Mark has described it. Because we'd have an extreme hardship of our own without him. Let's put it that way.
Technically, we have two keepers. I'm just kidding.
Well, on that note,
Yeah, that is the question. And I mean, Christian, obviously we've seen in some of the preseason matches, we have Marco Canales and Javier Becker, who are now potentially, depending on the length of this Logan deal, thrust into the limelight, and into a potential starting spot, at least against RGV on the 22nd. So what do you think about our backup goalkeeping prospects, and who do you suspect will be in goal if Logan's not back from his Northwest escapades?
I have to believe that it's going to be Marco that gets the call if Logan's not back, for a couple of reasons. Number one, he was the backup on last Saturday against New Mexico. He was the other keeper on the roster. Number two, in the preseason matches that I attended, he was the one besides Logan that was getting minutes.
Yeah.
Are we talking feel about that yet? Are we going to get into this the time?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I'm not filled with confidence. Both times that he was in there, that I saw him go in against Colorado Springs and against Juarez, he went in and not 3 minutes later, balls in the net. And multiple times, and a goal he's gonna get scored on. I'm not like faulting him for getting scored on. It happens, but there's just things that looked off to me. He's still young, So there's just a lot of development. I think that still needs to happen for him to be an optimal choice. I think that, it's a moot point, but like I think that having Jay back would be preferable, than these options here. But it is what it is, and I just hope that Logan gets back here because I think that there is a steep drop in quality.
Yeah, I only saw Marco play once, and I mean, I kind of have to echo those sentiments. I think there's something about Logan, not only technically and in terms of actual like shot stopping, but there's this presence about Logan that I don't think the other keepers have, and maybe that's something that can be developed as you get more comfortable and confident in net playing at this level. But yeah, I have to agree. There's a drop off in quality for sure, and I do wonder if that changes the way we play. I mean, speaking of Marco Canales, and this is a question for you, Christian, is, I mean, do they school their keepers in, playing with the ball at your feet in FC Juarez's academy? Because that is where he came up through, right? And so, like, do you think we actually persist with that, or we kind of go long ball now if he's going to be the one in net?
This might be completely wrong because I watch Juarez mostly as a fan and not so much as from an analytical standpoint. But it doesn't seem to me that they have the same style of play that we do, where basically if things don't look right, then you reset to the keeper, and the keeper is responsible for quarterbacking it from back there. That just doesn't seem to be the way that they play over there. There are good keepers over there with keeping the ball at their feet. They kind of have between Enrique Palos and Ivan Vasquez. They have two different keepers who are very different styles. So depending on who he's looking at more, it could depend on what he's picked up over there. But I wouldn't say that they play the same as far as the goalkeeper's responsibilities. So I don't think it's something that he might be 100% familiar with.
That's where I think like it almost becomes more complex because in other USL sides, essentially you're asking a keeper. Normally you would be asking a goalkeeper to step in and stop the shots that they face. Command the area on set pieces, that sort of stuff. We are asking a keeper to be a part of that back line in the sense that they're linking up, they're trying to keep up in terms of passing with the likes of Mishak and Yuma and Maka King and Eder Borelli. Like, you have to be able to distribute. And so goalkeeping becomes, a much more complex position when you're not just being asked to, hey, just stand between the pipes and stop what comes at you. We're asking you to come out. We even saw in the game against New Mexico, Logan come, and sweep a few times in behind. So there's a lot of aspects to Logan's game that can be really difficult to replicate for a keeper who's not at a really high level.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I think the one thing that I think is giving me a little bit of peace is that, we've acknowledged with outfield players that Mark doesn't just carry guys on the roster, and he signs two keepers in preseason or in the off season. And I think that's noteworthy, shall we say. I think that if they didn't have the quality, they wouldn't be offered a deal. So, and especially in the case of Javier, I mean, to be fair, the guy has been with the club more or less since the start and is now, having been rewarded now with an actual contract. So
true.
Yeah. But this could all be moot, in 2 weeks' time when RGV come to town, if Logan's back by then, and hopefully we don't have to do any more emergency pods, but we'll see. We'll see. It's interesting times for sure. So early in the season. Goodness.
Yeah, the drama wasted no time. After one game last season, we had the entire season canceled. or, you know, postponed for a large period. And we almost had another season canceled by way of Logan's departure. So
truly. Oh my goodness.
I want the mess to take a vacation for just like a week.
One normal day of USL. That's all I ask. Never happened. Shout out to the real ones who know what that's from.
Yeah. Well, guys, it is RGV. Would this we've already made our predictions for RGV? Would a change at goalkeeper make you go back and rethink what you've chosen?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Now, opponent-wise, RGV have come up against some strong goalkeeping in staying in these close victories. They've had some goalkeepers make some strong performances, so I do worry about RGV facing a keeper who isn't feeling at their confident best, or, you know, is awed by the occasion, because they have created quite a lot of chances, just not been able to put them away. And given the right opportunity, I do worry a little bit for a keeper making potentially their professional debut back there.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to consider is, just like you said, like, I would already worry if the keeper's role in our team was to just stop shots. But like you said, he's responsible for so much more, and that against a team like RGV, who is basically, like we said several times, you know, us who like to control the ball and, you know, move things around. Since that goalie is responsible for, you know, managing so much of that defense, that just makes it that much more worrisome.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and I'm sure Locomotive fans will be watching Portland Timbers games with interest to make sure that Logan isn't there too long. I don't know that I've ever cared about an MLS team's injury report, but I certainly do now. And following the fitness of Portland's keepers will now be a daily habit to check back in on. But Logan stands to probably make his debut against San Jose this coming week, huh?
Yeah, and as we know from, you know, these first couple rounds of MLS, San Jose are quite exciting in the attacking department. So, yeah, I mean, that's a big test if indeed he makes his debut, and again, gives me a reason to watch MLS.
Yeah, I'm excited for him, and you have to also feel for him, because it almost feels like one of those situations where you're almost like set up to fail, because it, like, the short turnaround, it's almost impossible to, you know, get familiar with a team and play with them. And so you're really just relying on pure, like, ability, which Logan has. But this is also at a higher level than he's played at in some time. Yeah.
Yeah. And he hasn't, I mean, he's never really gotten back over that MLS hump, you know, I guess since he started with Columbus, he only played in Open Cup games. So, this will be essentially his MLS debut, I think. Yeah, I'm sure he'll cope well with the occasion. Obviously, Logan, a really level-headed guy, and I hope, I wish him nothing but the best, because certainly he's not, you know, and deserves no, like, abuse or anything like that. Like, he hasn't orchestrated a move or anything. So yeah, wish Logan nothing but the best up there in Portland, and hopefully it's a nice, you know, short value adding time away before he comes back and takes that confidence, you know, to some silverware that he can hang his hat on this offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. Best of luck to him. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to see our guys succeed, even if that isn't here necessarily, but yeah, I'll be watching for sure.
Well, that about does it, guys, for our emergency pod. Anything? Oh no, did I leave anything out? Is there anything floating around out there?
Nothing that I can think of. That really like threw my whole day.
Yeah. I guess the only other piece of news was RGV's Ron Patel off to
That's right. Yeah.
pursue
yeah.
other opportunities. That was basically what the press release said.
I don't know why, but I have this like feeling that he's going to Houston Dynamo, which is like all types of layers of fucked up, but we'll see. Because they're a mess
Dynamo
right now.
As Phil,
Daddy Dynamo.
Daddy Dynamo. Wow.
That's terrible. If that's what happened, that's really terrible.
Who knows though? It's just my gut feeling.
Yeah. Well, he got them moving in the right direction, so hopefully RGV can keep up the momentum with whoever takes the helm after him. Because the last thing that they need is to stagnate after creating such a positive vibe around the club early this season. Christian,
and giving me so much confidence.
do these shakeups in the front office like put your predictions under threat?
I see. This is why I have trust issues. I may never trust again.
Oh well. On that note, I think that does bring us to the end of this quick little news update. We had to get together and bring it to you guys because we try to stay on top of all the Locomotive news, and this was certainly some big news that broke earlier today. So, with any luck, we'll see Logan Ketterer back in Locomotive Blue sooner than later. And if you've enjoyed the podcast, you can find us on all the major podcast platforms, and you can find us on all the socials at Seriously Loco. So check us out there, give us a follow, a like, subscribe, whatever the platform allows. And until next time, guys, stay loco.